What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all doing well on this, I guess, Wednesday evening, Thursday morning at this point. So I guess happy Thanksgiving for folks who celebrate that. So just figured to hop on and just kind of hang out for a bit, just binge through all of the Stranger Things content. So wasn't sure if I was going to wind up watching all the episodes tonight, but sure enough, we wound up doing so. So figured we'd hop on for a little bit, maybe talk about it. And depending on if there's conversation, I figured worst case scenario, I will have some Slay the Spire gameplay going on alongside the conversation. So, which fittingly, I think I heard them talk about Aspire a couple times in these first 4 episodes. So, kind of felt like that was marginally related. So, but how's it going, King Matthew? How are you doing? I'm doing all right tonight. You watched the first 2 episodes. I will say, keep in mind, for the purpose of this live stream, spoilers will be discussed for all 4 episodes. So if you've only seen some of the season and you're not wanting spoilers, just beware that that's going to be part of the discussion for today's live stream. So if you're not wanting those, just I don't know, maybe this is one not to be fully tuned in for. So didn't have a whole lot of plans, honestly, though, because I just finished watching it, and I figured talk about some of the things we liked, some things we maybe didn't like, thoughts on the direction. I did a few shorts recently on Stranger Things as well, one of them being predictions on who may die, if anybody. Obviously, it's possible that nobody winds up, as far as main cast goes, winds up getting impacted, but if somebody does, who that may be. And then on top of that, made a short on 5 things that I would like to see. Which, let me see. I think for the most part, most of those things that I was hoping to see started to come to fruition here, so it was good to see that. Yeah, for sure. This is definitely, I try to be mindful as far as whenever I make a video or do a live stream or on Discord or whatever, making sure the audience is aware of where spoilers will and will not be talked about. So today, definitely season 5, volume 1 spoilers for sure. So could we do a Stranger Things tier list? I thought about doing that. Part of me wondered if it made more sense to wait until the end of season 5, though. So I may lean towards doing that, but I'm definitely up for doing that during a live stream at some point for sure. But yeah, as far as how these first 4 episodes went, as I said, my wish list of stuff that I was looking for. First one being a compelling plot for each episode, which I think we, for the most part, got that in these first 4. Ironically, when I was thinking that in the first episode, I was like, hey, they're kind of jumping straight into the like action. There's not any really downtime or like lulls within Hawkins. As soon as I thought that, there was a bit of a side plot that took place with Dustin and the kids that were bullying him and like the whole snake thing, but that didn't really take up too much time. So I think for the most part, they have kind of kept the ball rolling and not wasted too much time on extra stuff that's not necessarily overly important to the story at this point. And while they still do kind of the Stranger Things thing where they spread out the group a little bit here and there, it felt like each team was doing, for the most part, some important mission. Towards the end of this last episode, I kind of thought the whole Dustin Steve squad was a little bit underwhelming as far as like their involvement in things, but I think that's probably just for now, and they'll end up having more engagement later. They're also probably, for the most part, I feel like people's favorite characters are like Steve and Dustin, so by giving the characters that don't get as much time more of the action, I think that was appropriate. So and then my second point was talking about the usage of each of the cast members. I feel like we definitely did that a little bit better in the first 4 episodes here. There's a couple characters that I feel like maybe we're not getting as much action or as much like stuff to do, which obviously you can't have everybody doing everything at one time. So I get that. But like the characters that I thought should get more involvement, somebody like Will definitely stepped up. But even Jonathan, when Jonathan was with Steve, when they were kind of doing their bantering back and forth, I feel like Jonathan had more of an involvement than he traditionally had. But there was definitely some characters like Nancy, I feel like didn't have a whole lot going on. Dustin kind of had his side stuff going on with the bullying and the recovery from the whole Eddie stuff. Who else? I feel like for the most part, though, people had their roles that they were working towards. Lucas didn't really do a whole lot, but he kind of has his story tied to Max in some ways that I'm imagining that's going to like flourish more in subsequent episodes. So I did like that they gave a little bit more purpose behind the cast members that we had here. What else do we have here? They started to answer some questions. I think some are still outstanding. Honestly, they posed new questions like what's going on with this whole wall thing. Obviously, we're being told it's surrounding the Hawkins lab, but some of that mystery is still to be discussed a little bit further in the following episodes. But I think for the most part, they're starting to answer questions. Granted, as I said, they're introducing new ones, like talking about episode 4 specifically. Will is getting a little bit more involvement, so explaining that a little bit further, we kind of got introduced to that concept at the beginning of the first episode when we were seeing that stuff like from Vecna being flushed into the kids. So I'm assuming Will got some of those like abilities from like Vecna passed on to him essentially. So as I said, some questions we're answering, some questions are kind of still ongoing. Let me throw in some music too while we're hanging out here for a bit. Let me grab this. That's a little too loud right now. Also, I don't know where my OBS volume is. That's probably okay, right? Let me know if the music's too annoying or anything. But what else? One of the things I mentioned was a justifiable and effective character sacrifice. They kind of teased us with that here, but we'll turn it down a little bit maybe. But I'm not sure fully yet where we're going to go with that. Speaking of episode 4, since a lot of the stuff that's going to be like teased towards the next couple episodes happened in 4, obviously, so you had the hinting of Hopper being the sacrifice, you know, for 11 and everybody else, which I wasn't sure. I know a lot of people felt like because he had a bit of a fake out death in prior seasons that they wouldn't really do it again to him, but they kind of did that here, and I'm not sure if they've already initiated that concept and, you know, he will wind up being someone who sacrifices himself, or if we just got teased again here. It felt like because the episode concluded, though, I would think potentially that he's safe for now, but we'll see. But I'm not sure as far as the guesses I made of some of the kids that have some potential. If you ask me today to pick, does a main character die or not? I don't know. I've seen some reports out there that the Duffer Brothers supposedly said they have, well, they don't have like a lot of deaths. They have like one of the most like gruesome ones supposedly in this season. So I don't know if that source was accurate. If so, that would lead you to believe that probably a main character would die, but because it feels like the story does resemble a lot of things like Harry Potter, where it's like, you know, Will and Vecna is like Harry Potter and Voldemort, essentially. I kind of feel like that mentality typically lends itself to killing off these side characters and not necessarily the main group. So we'll see, though, ultimately. Then the last one I had was a satisfying conclusion, which we don't have at this point in time, so we'll see. It's definitely headed in a positive direction. So let's see what you guys are saying. Wasn't expecting Karen Ted to be attacked. Yeah, that one, it was kind of funny when I was watching the show. Granted, a lot of times this means that like the writing is pretty strong. We would be watching a scene and I would be like, hey, this is probably gonna happen next. And sure enough, a lot of times it did. Which, as I said, a lot of times that means if you can predict the direction like close to when it's happening, I think that means they're positively leading you that direction without being like very obvious. But yeah, that one I saw coming. Honestly, I wasn't sure if they were going to survive. I kind of thought they were going to get killed off and she was going to be captured and maybe she would like leave behind that little D&D piece from the necklace that she had. But I still think that may happen at some point because maybe Mike will find it later on. I don't know. Or maybe it's just going to be her, her inspiration. If Steve dies in part 2, Dustin's probably going to lose it. Maybe. Honestly, I will say, I think if a main character dies, I think it's going to be in the final episode. So I don't think there's going to be like a whole lot of time to digest it and do a lot of stuff afterwards. Just my hunch, because we're 4 episodes in already too. And we're getting 3 for Christmas and then 1 for New Year's. If somebody were to die, I would probably lean towards it being that New Year's finale episode. I haven't checked how long each of those are, but if it's like a pretty long one, on the front half of that, you could have a main character die. Technically, the sacrifice route for Hopper started in episode 2. True. Yeah, he was injured and he was like trying to cover it up. But he later on, I don't know where he brings like explosives with him. And I feel like she would have seen that previously. Maybe he was in his backpack with his beef jerky or whatever. But that was kind of interesting. I felt like 11, whenever she was talking to somebody, she kind of went back and forth. And I'd have to go back and see if other seasons did this, but she would be doing the thing where when she was like learning English and she was like slowly saying words, she would do that. And then other times she's like yelling at Hopper and speaking very quickly. So a bit of inconsistencies there. I will say too, in episode 1, the kids were still kind of acting like kids. And I'm like looking at you, I'm like, you're like a 23-year-old playing a high schooler. And then you're like a 33-year-old playing a fresh out of high schooler. So I think eventually I kind of settled into the cast though. So you think Lucas is maybe he'll be the one? I heard that they filmed every character's final scene that they filmed, like the main cast, their final scenes were the final moments of them in the show. I don't know what that's going to wind up meaning, but supposedly their last scene in the show is the last scene that they filmed. So kind of cool. But what else? Let me see if I can pull up maybe some episode by episode plot lines. I thought about like pulling up the show and just like flying through it, but that probably sounds like a pain. All right, where are we at? Which I've thought about too on the channel as far as content for Stranger Things. I don't probably plan to do a video on anything. I may do some more shorts on Stranger Things, but that's kind of why I decided to go live today. I'm like, maybe we won't do videos. Maybe we'll just talk about it in a different capacity. I feel like the hard part with Netflix shows is they drop like 4 things at once and each of them are like over an hour long. So making like episode videos for that is kind of challenging. All right, yeah, here's the episode breakdowns at a high level. So obviously we kind of started things off and we were just introduced. A lot of episode 1 I feel like was in the trailer, which was a good thing because, you know, we had seen it already. Granted, the end of episode 4 was also in the trailer, so that part was not ideal. Granted, I guess there was still the twist with Will that we'll talk about, but pretty much you have like the kids going back to their normal lives as much as possible, and then they're doing these like crawls, which is the episode title, The Crawl. And they're searching for Vecna essentially, and they're like going through the military's like base to try to find out where Vecna may be to try to ultimately extinguish him. And I don't know, there's definitely a lot of it. A bit of it was like too much with Joyce wanting to really protect Will. I get that she's traumatized with him having had everything that's happened to him thus far, but she was like very willingly putting Jonathan at risk, and maybe that's something realistically she would do, but it was a little bit too over the top, probably with her wanting to protect him. Especially because they live in Hawkins now. Like they went to California, they were fine, and then they came back here. And like if you're gonna live here, you have to kind of accept the risk with doing so. So we also had kind of the weird dynamic of Will's family and Mike's family living together at the beginning. It was kind of funny. You'd have like the dad asking for like the bacon, and then sure enough, it gets passed out to him. And you have like the Office Space joke where he wants the piece of cake, and by the time it gets to him, there is no bacon. So some of that stuff was funny. And then obviously their plans go wrong, which was pretty expected this early in the season. And then we have the situation with the Demogorgon attacking Mike's family, taking Holly. Holly was definitely a main character in this season, which I wasn't fully expecting. I guess if I checked the episode titles, that would have been obvious, but she became a little bit more prominent. That's one of the things I said I didn't want as much in this season, which they're doing here, but it wasn't too rough, which is introducing, for the most part, new characters and having them be integral to the story. Like Holly is definitely part of the main group at this point. And then you even have the other kid who was like leading up the group of kids going in there. Let me turn the volume down a little bit on me. There we go. So, but that was, I thought she did an okay job as far as introducing a new character. It seemed like, part of me wondered when she was having this person visiting her, who that may be. She thought they were a good person. So I was like, maybe it could be Will, which in a weird way, it kind of, Will was there, but not really. Obviously, we find out it is Vecna, which they played out that part kind of a lot with Mike's parents or his mom in the hospital when she's like writing. Like she's slowly writing Henry. It's like, all right, we know. It's kind of trying to build suspense, I guess, but see what you guys are saying. Maybe a hot take for 5 sort of better than it Welcome to Derry. I don't think that's a hot take. I think a lot of people were mixed on the Welcome to Derry introduction. I mean, Stranger Things is also like an established franchise. I know Welcome to Derry is attached to it, but it's a new TV show. So I think there's a really established Stranger Things fan base. I agree it's a better start. You like that Nancy and Mike bond a little more? True. Yeah, they were hanging out when they had to go like find their mom in the hospital and stuff like that. The pairings they did, I feel like worked really well. Like, as I mentioned earlier, you had Steve and Jonathan at one point. You had Robin and Will. So a lot of those dynamics with those characters, I feel like were effective. It kind of feels like for the most part, like a fan favorite like Dustin has been a little bit, he's getting more screen time, but when he was beat up by the jocks, he was kind of like out of sight for a while there. But yeah, I think kind of the duo dynamics they've had are really working. Joyce, I think they probably could give a little bit more to do. She's kind of just the worried mother thus far. So we'll see how that plays out. she probably was a little bit tougher when it was like her and Hopper in season 4, whereas now she is with her son. Which that was nicer to have everybody, while they're all doing their own things in Hawkins, they're all kind of in the same place, whether it's upside down or right side up. It's funny when Joyce got tricked by Robin. Yeah, they had a lot of references to a lot of pop culture stuff then, like to your point, Back to the Future with the flux capacitor stuff. Or you had same scene, you had Robin being like, "Great Scott," which is obviously Doc Brown. The one thing that I thought was a bit obnoxious throughout probably the first few episodes mostly, they had a lot of product placement. Like Gatorade prominently in your face, Coke prominently in your face, Dr. Pepper. It was pretty obvious to me, and it didn't take away from the episode, but it was noticeable that they were trying to heavily push some of these big companies. So... what else? They had some like decent songs that were kind of throwbacks too, like when Dustin and Steve were converting his car with the roof and stuff like that. Let's see, looking at episode 3, details I have on this one. It's when they try to trap the Demogorgon and put the tracker on him. And then they take the car through the portal, and Steve's really the only one who wants to do it. What is the kid's name? The one that they are constantly badgering, the new kid. He wound up being a little bit better than I was fearful that he would be. Granted, at first, he's supposed to be like this younger kid, and he's like plows over Mrs. Byers and then like knocks over Will and is somehow like overpowering all of them, even though he's supposed to be a younger kid. What is his name? Derek. Derek's his name, which I think he's actually his name's in the episode, right? Yeah, the Turnbow Trap. Derek Turnbow. I thought he was okay. Both him and Holly were the main new introductions as far as kids. Some of the like Erica lines I felt like were a little bit hokey. But she was fine for the most part. And then obviously episode 4 for the most part revolves around Will trying to figure out what's going on with these kids, and them trying to like take the kids out and save them essentially. What's up, Cope? We're just going to talk about Stranger Things, so anything you want to talk about with it, feel free to chime in. I told King Matthew, it sounds like he's only watched the first 2 episodes, but we were talking 1 through 4, so it is full spoiler warning in this stream. So speaking of which, episode 4, which is kind of the big cliffhanger one, I mentioned they gave us a bit of a tease with Hopper being the sacrificial character there. Yeah, so anything you want to discuss, feel free to throw in there. It was kind of surprising though, because they kind of gave us, what was it, like the Chekhov's gun thing, where he shows us these explosives, tells Eleven I love you, goes in the other room. If we want to say, once again, what is her name too? The girl from season 2. That was kind of surprising. Kaylee? Kali? K-A-L-I? 8, I can say. I guess is probably the easier one to go with. Seeing her was a shock. So maybe that's what led Hopper to not going through with his plan. Curious how they're going to integrate her character. I know a lot of people, I didn't like the Chicago episode at all, but it wasn't because of her. It was just because that plot line kind of took a dramatic shift out of nowhere. So it'd be awesome if you introduce her character back into the story and it is successful. And then you have obviously the cast, which we knew this scene was coming because the trailer showed it with the military fighting the Demogorgon squad. And then Vecna rolling out and just pretty much dominating everybody. And then he kind of just like leaves and then is like, all right, Demogorgons, you got this under control. Which was kind of convenient, I guess. And then we get the reveal of Will having his own powers and kind of doing a Vecna with the limb twisting and stuff. So I thought that was pretty well done, though, as far as you gave Will some purpose. You developed his relationship with other characters like Robin. I'm curious where they're going to take that story, though, because obviously Mike is into 11. So Will can be his own person, but it probably won't be with Mike. So we'll see. One of the biggest things I disliked, how's some people in high school still don't like Eddie. Yeah, I mean, that made sense story-wise, though. I didn't like it, but I wasn't a fan of it happening as a supporter of Eddie and Dustin, but it made sense. They thought Eddie was a bad guy. They thought he was this like satanic worshiper and a problem. And Dustin knew his true reality. It was pretty wild. They did the stuff with like the snake and like the blood on the gravestone and such. He didn't need to wipe her up because she wasn't the bad guy. Are you talking about Hopper? Major Armageddon vibes, like Bruce Willis taking the trigger from Ben Affleck and destroying the asteroid. Right? I don't know what to think about Hopper at this point now, because this is now the second fake out of having him sacrifice himself, and I would have thought maybe like it was just gonna be a tease, but he went really into like, hey, I love you, doing this for you type of thing, and then it didn't amount to anything. So a bit interesting they chose to do that. Yeah, I mentioned that at the beginning, Cope. Will and Vecna, definitely Harry and Voldemort vibes. Which I did mention that in my short. I kind of gave myself two options, which is maybe cheating, but I was like, Will or 11, I could see having ties to Vecna. And I made the comparison to Dragonheart, where Draco and the King share a heart. So I don't know if they would take that route, but if they killed somebody off, that would be a one that would make sense, because to defeat the evil, you have to sacrifice. I don't know. Will and 11 would probably be the main two dying. Oh, that's what I just said. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I'm more certain. Yeah, I mean, making the Harry Potter comparison, I think no one dying is a very viable option. If you ask me today, like, of the main cast, like of the kids and Joyce and Hopper as the adults, if any of them are going to die, I don't know, because I mentioned this earlier too. I've seen articles, which I don't know how many of those are real, about the Duffer Brothers claiming there's like the most gruesome death in the series is supposed to be in this season. And I don't think it was that guy who just got his like head sliced through in this past episode. So we'll see. I don't know. I think if anyone does die, it's not going to be until the last episode. I don't think they're going to take anybody out prior to that. Maybe Stevie could be possessed by Vecna. Maybe. I don't think so. Can nice bow tie an ending? It'll be lame. I think it could work, but they're gonna have to sell me on it for sure. Already in this episode, or these 4 episodes, you have like fringe characters dying left and right, and our main cast being okay, which I'll accept. That's what happens with movies. I mean, they're the main characters for a reason. So, but if they sell me on it well, I can accept it being like a happy ending without any casualties. So, I don't know. We'll have to see how they move forward with it. I mean, how do you think they take out Vecna ultimately? That'll be the challenge. it did seem obvious to me that Max was going to be like, Max is not dying in this season. I'm pretty confident about that one. Like, I feel like Max, Lucas, probably both okay in my eyes. Was cool to see her back. Was that in episode 3 or 4? But they kind of did a lot of exposition dump there, so that was a little bit more, but it made sense story-wise. I'm curious too, what do you guys think? She alluded to Vecna being afraid of the cave because of some past event that took place there. Do you guys have any thoughts as far as what may be going on with the cave? Why is Vecna so terrified of going there? I don't know. I assume some kind of like origin situation happened there. But I mean, it's not the lab where he slaughtered everybody. It is, no idea about the cave. Yeah. I don't think I really have much of a guess too. It is interesting seeing the different sceneries because you have like the right side up, the upside down, and then you have this like memory world inside the upside down that's somehow Max and Holly are linked up there. So it was interesting too. I couldn't tell the first two episodes I feel like took place over one day. But then after that, like episodes 3 and 4, I assume it was still kind of within like a day or two. But I feel like every other scene, like the sun was coming up, and I was like, what is time in this world at this point? Maybe origin story. Yeah, I mean, for a finale, like a final season, it would have to be something big. So why would Vecna go after Will now? Yeah, it was interesting too, having the explanation of Vecna going after the kids because how successful he was with Will doing it the first time. Because they are both physically and mentally like vulnerable or like undeveloped is kind of the takeaway I took from that. So they're kind of easy vessels for him to consume. It was cool that Max was the one that wrote the letter in the mail too for Holly. What else? What else happened here? What's up, Rachel? Yeah. I will say I haven't gone back and rewatched season 2, so maybe my opinion will change. But on first watch, I hated that Chicago episode where she goes to the city and she does her whole like bitchin' thing or whatever, her emo phase. I hope 8 is integral to the story and has some importance. Definitely think 8 will die. I mean, that's a character that's an easy, I don't want to say easy, but that's an easier choice for the Duffer Brothers to make, as far as 8 is essentially an Eddie or a Bob or a Barb. I thought I saw something about the Duffer Brothers claiming Barb was going to make a cameo, which at first when we saw what's your face's girlfriend, Maya Hawke's girlfriend, I was like, is that Barb? But it wasn't. I also skipped. Yeah, I mean, just thematically, it's like out of left field. It doesn't make any sense. You can still like the character and hope that they'll be kind of better utilized in this season, but I was not a fan of that episode. Honestly, I've thought about doing a short, probably after season 5 wraps up, ranking the 5 seasons. And that episode in episode 2 is an anchor for that for that season for me. But yeah, they did want to bring it back here. I'm curious how much of that is them wanting to feel like validated for that choice. I can respect back when they made that episode and people weren't fans of it. They did the Sonic thing where they took feedback and like, all right, we're gonna neglect that story for now. But I kind of wonder if they're like, hey, let's bring her back because we want to feel validated for that choice of that character. No way it survives. It feels like if no main characters die, she's going to be killed off. Like, that's an easy secondary character to have make a sacrifice. Give her the hopper explosives. Hopefully they give Linda Hamilton a major role in season 5. She was more prominent. I know, Kim Matthew, you said you only watched the first couple episodes. The episodes 3 and 4, she's in a little bit more of, at least episode 4. Which I wasn't sure how they were going to handle. Like, is she going to be in more episodes? Which at this point, yes. But when she was fighting with Hopper, I was like, that was another one too. And once again, it's a TV show. We accept conveniences. You have Hopper like being suffocated by this thing. And Dr. K, I think is her name, Linda Hamilton's character. She just wants 11, which she has her here. And she's like trapped by this kryptonite, if you will, and she's just talking to Hopper and he's not giving her anything. He even says like go to hell or whatever. He's not gonna tell her anything, and instead of just killing him, she just like turns her back on him and he kicks the little valve and then gets out. So some of that stuff was a little hokey. Sarah Connor, well done. Yeah, it feels like she's probably gonna get the Brenner treatment here. Do we think Doc is alive from season 4? We know Papa's dead, but Doc could still be alive. Why am I blanking on who you're referring to? Oh, that guy. The guy that was like the actual nicer guy. Maybe? I mean, they only got 4 more episodes. Sam Owens, yeah. I figured she would die anyway, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, it's also the last season. There's no reason not to have probably Linda Hamilton's character die. Granted, she's a badass actress, so have it be an effective death. Yeah, they are going to start getting longer. Let me see what the length is. Is the last one like 2.5 hours or something? Which, if somebody dies, I feel like within the first hour of episode 8 would be my guess. Okay, this says approximately 2 hours. Maybe hers is the most violent. That'd be a good pick, yeah. If you want to bring her into the franchise and be like, hey, you're going to get the most gruesome death ever. Do you want to be a part of this? Yeah. That could work. That's why I wasn't sure when I heard that be mentioned. I'm like, okay, you talk about a main character or you just talk about somebody in this show that happens to? Sean has to want his death to be brutal. I remember it being kind of rough, right? Like in the lab, he gets like jumped by the Demogorgons, I think. That was interesting too. I feel like this season, we're kind of, I mean, we literally have scenes from the first season, but we're a bit coming back to the first season. Like, I feel like season 1 was like Demogorgon, big threat. Then we moved on. We did the Mind Flayer thing. We did the Vecna thing. It kind of feels like Demogorgon is very prominent. Granted, it's still clearly like the henchman to Vecna. But when like Joyce and them are in that like barn and the Demogorgon is busting in, it felt like season 1 where it's like, this is the threat we're facing at this point in time. Yeah, eaten by like 6 demos. Just like shredded apart like that Jurassic Park 2 scene with Eddie. That would be interesting. I think the final episode of season 5 would be like 3 hours. I think it's supposed to be 2, it seems like. There's like, yeah, it seems to be an endless amount of Demogorgons. This feels like Middle Earth, where like Sauron's just like creating orcs out of mud at this point. Yeah, the show definitely has grown, which I mentioned this up at the front of things. At first, in episode 1, I was a little bit concerned because the kids were still acting like kids, and I'm like, okay, I want to see some development. Like, you have 11 still like having a little bit of broken English, and I don't know, like Lucas looks like he is 25, which I think he is like 24 or something, and I don't know, Robin's like 33. So eventually I kind of settled back into things, but at first I was like, you guys don't feel like you're in high school still. I don't know what's happening here. Everyone thought it was a kid's show. Yeah, it's definitely evolved. They kind of have done like what like Boy Meets World is maybe a lame example, but when you start the show and you're in like middle school with these kids and then they go to college eventually and they're dealing with like real life adult stuff. Do I think the Mind Flare will come back? It depends what you mean by come back. I think the Mind Flare is going to be like discussed. I think there'll be probably scenes showing it, whether it's a flashback. I'm not positive on if there's gonna be like a Mind Flare fight scene or anything like that. Maybe this could be like an Avengers situation where Vecna has like all hands on deck with all just every creature he's got coming out of the fold. It does feel like we're kind of starting an X-Men squad here. Like you have 11, you now have 8 back here. You have Will getting powers. Certainly X-Men squad is like about to bust out here. They are kids. Yeah, I think the hard part is like I wanted to see some change. Like a lot of them are acting like they did in season 1, which they're supposed to be, but in some ways I'm like, okay, you're an adult now. Also, the radio stuff, I wasn't sure what to think of it because at first I was like, oh, okay, this is the 3rd time Steve and Robin are working together at a job. We had Scoops Ahoy, we had the video store, now we got the radio stuff. And then I was like, do you guys just work for this radio company and they just leave you in charge? And then eventually I'm like, did you start your own radio company out of nowhere? How do you have these underground tunnels into the military base? Some of the like, that was part of it too. People are acting like kids and it's like, you guys are literally running a radio station, just the 2 of you. I think Nancy also works there, but it felt like they had so many things at their disposal there. We shall see the Mind Flare. I think there's gonna be some. I don't know if there'll be like a fight scene, but I think it's gonna be brought up for sure. Boy Meets World, excellent. Yeah, you evolve with the characters, you grow with them. You think the wall is the Mind Flare? Could be. It's got some thick skin if so, because it sounds like you cannot destroy it. Will the Y is adding to the team. Yeah, I was surprised Mike didn't have like an M word. I was like, why isn't it just Mike the Mighty? He was like Mike the Brave. Some of the high school stuff too, I was like with the bully, like you have these other kids that are like standing up to him or whatever. I'm like, okay, if you're supposed to be the bully and you're getting like overthrown by like the nerdy kids, some of that stuff with the bully, I was like, I get we're trying to like wrap up the Eddie stuff still, but think of the flesh creature in season 3. At first I wasn't sure if the like when Max was in the cave and then went over the cliffs, I was like, is that going to be the wall? But not sure. Which I guess if that was the case, that would mean the house that they're at is the Hawkins lab. Also, how did Max get all those like supplies? I thought she was going to say something about it, but her cave, she has like blankets and stuff. And like, oh, did you like during the day run over to Vecna's house, steal those and come back to the cave with them? Like, how'd you gather those? It was also interesting to see that the portal like closed when the tape stopped playing, which part of me is like, are you telling me that Lucas just has a tape that has just run up that hill like on repeat? There's no other songs on that thing. But it was cool. They kind of did the Sinners thing a bit where it's like music can like transport you to a different time or a different place. So that was fun to see. And I know they've done that already previously in the last season, but the house we see Holly in, house all nice. And the cave where Max is, it's all Henry's mind. Oh, so you don't think that place has any physical property? Like, there's not an alternate version of that in the real world, you don't think? Could be. I mean, that would make sense. I assume, like, their bodies are just... Well, I don't know. Because Max's body is in the coma in the real world, whereas Holly's body is probably in the Upside Down somewhere. What's up, Berto? Had you crying? Season 5 did? I'm assuming good tears? I mean, it was pretty... There wasn't anything, like, heart-wrenching that was, like, bad. It was, like, good sadness, maybe. Will said Holly's body was in the wall. Okay. He said to Elle in season 4, they're not gone 11, they're still here. It was interesting too. I think when at one point they said there was like 12 kids that Vectum was trying to get. I'm like, so he's trying to have one more than 11. Is that the point of that? Because Max's body's alive. Okay. I was 9 when the show started. Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, I'm a little bit older, but I could see people like growing up with the show. Like I mentioned with Boy Meets World. With 3 other kids. That's right. Yeah. The other kids with the stuff on their mouths. Yeah, people have definitely grown up with it. What else? What else happened? I didn't take any like notes or anything. I literally just hopped on to talk about let's see what people are maybe saying about Volume 2, maybe. The 11 biggest questions we have after Volume 1. Okay, let's see what they have to say here. First one, what is Vecna / Henry really doing with these young kids, including Holly, and how do you kidnap her? Where is he keeping them? We kind of just talked about that. Sounds like maybe in the wall. How did he kidnap her? I mean, we saw that. The Demogorgon kidnapped her. I don't know. I will say within the house, it was weird that portals were like opening up all over the place. I guess if you have like an established wall or roof that they can come through that, but it's weird that they're coming through like the ceiling when on the outside there's like nothing there, but I feel like they've done that before. But what is he really doing with these young kids? I feel like he's using them for like power or his like army or whatever. The Will Mike ending. My heart was fading. I'm speechless. Yeah, that was a good ending. I was happy they finally gave Will like value to the show, because when season 1 came out, Will like at first was one of my favorite characters, and then he obviously was gone or like kidnapped for most of the show or most of the season 1, and then we get him back at the end, and then seasons 2 through 4 he kind of didn't do much. Like he was pretty sidelined. And now they're bringing it back, which they're kind of coming full circle, as I said, back to season 1, which is cool to see. You put money on the wall being the Mind Flayer. I mean, I don't have a better guess, so certainly could be. When it's going to be, and I'm going to cry so much. Yeah, it's going to be sad. I'm curious what Netflix is going to do with the franchise going forward. If they... I thought I've seen articles about having like a spin-off or even like an animated thing. I don't know how much of that stuff is true, but who knows? Obviously, this form of the show is going to be over. Which is partially why I'm like, maybe they won't kill the kids, because if they want to do another Stranger Things thing 5 years from now and you kept the kids alive, you got an option. Granted, you could use new kids at that point if you wanted, but... recruiting a football team for the kids. Yeah, you got 11 on 11. He almost got a full offense going. Kids equals power. Yeah, it's kind of like in, I mean, spoilers here, I guess. I mean, yeah, for sure. It reminds me of weapons, I'll say. I'll just leave it at that. Maybe trying to open the gates of hell. Yeah, that's what I was saying. He's going to bring Mordor down on everybody. I'm going to sleep. I'm subbing. Hey, thank you, Berta. I really appreciate that. Thanks for hopping in, and we'll keep talking Stranger Things going forward. So thank you for subbing. I really appreciate that. Welcome in. I hope you're not going to cry again too. But I will say, given regardless of if it's sad or not, it's going to end. So I imagine there's going to be some tears. I could see them doing prequels. Yeah, we've gotten some of the stories with the other numbers or some of the doctors. They could go a lot of different ways. They could Walking Dead this thing to pieces. Can I talk spoilers? Yeah, you can. This entire stream is meant for all of episodes 1 through 4 of season 5. 100% spoilers are acceptable here. But thank you for asking. I appreciate it. Finally watch Weapons. Yeah, I saw you you mentioned that. Who do you guys think wins in a fight? Vecna versus Pennywise. Yeah, I mean, Vecna is... We made the comparison to Voldemort, but Vecna is like Freddy Krueger at this point. Like, I think Vecna wins over Pennywise. Pennywise has a little bit too many like vulnerabilities. Like, if you just stand up to Pennywise, you kind of win. So, granted, I will say it depends on what Pennywise can take the form of, because apparently Vecna is a big softie when it comes to caves. So, if Pennywise turns into a cave, Vecna may cave himself. We're talking about the spinoff taking place in the 90s. I wouldn't hate that. I mean, I'm thinking of like Fear Street. I liked the 90s movie, the first one. The 80s one was okay. I will say, I think maybe, I'm assuming this is probably a pretty popular opinion. I feel like Sadie Sink, that's her name, right? The girl who plays Max. I feel like she's going to be a star in movies going forward. Like, she's a great actress. The reason Vecna is scared of the cave is because he got his powers in that cave when he broke the jar. And it's in first shadow play. Are you talking, when you say the shadow play, you mean, because I know there was like a play of Stranger Things. Is that what you mean? Which, funnily enough, I saw them post about the Stranger Things like plays recently, and people were like, there's a different release date of the show, because it was like confusing if they were talking about the show or the play. Pennywise would look at Vecna, wave, and walk away. I don't see why they'd fight. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to like Freddy versus Jason, that thing where you like kind of force them into the battle, I'd say. She's in the 10-minute version of All Too Well, Max. Yeah, I think she's solid. I mean, the second Fear Street wasn't my favorite, but I liked her in that. That's right, King Matthew. She's gonna be in the Spider-Man and like the Doctor Doom stuff, I think. The plays a prequel. Plays canon's on YouTube. Maybe we'll have to check it out then. Do you like it? Does it like hold up pretty well, even watching it on YouTube? I feel like in-person theater is probably more enjoyable than video, but Freddy needed Jason to come back though. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, writers can get creative as far as like, hey, let's find some way for you guys to like play off each other. Yeah, she had a bunch of actresses in her stuff, doesn't she? Sadie, Joe, and Finn. Finn does quite a few things. I mean, he's been in other... I didn't watch... Did you guys watch his horror movie that came out? I think it was over the summer. It was like that summer camp one. It looked very campy. I don't think it came like super widely distributed, but so I didn't see it, but it looked very very like over the top Friday the 13th. Joe Keery, I'm surprised he's not in more stuff. I liked him in that movie with Ron Reynolds. What's it called? Something Man, right? The video game movie. What is it called? Free Guy, not Man. Free Guy. So I'm surprised he's not in more stuff. He was doing like commercials there for a bit for like Taco Bell, I think. But yeah, I mean, if we're saying like previously, Winona Ryder's definitely. I mean, it depends if we're counting like Sean Astin as being part of it too. But of the main group, she was probably the most. I mean, she definitely was the most famous coming into it. I think I was thinking more like from Stranger Things moving forward, your career. Say's already pretty big. Oh, she was in The Whale, the one with Brendan Fraser. That had come out after Stranger Things had started, though, right? Like, I think Stranger Things was her first thing that I saw her in. Maybe she was in more popular stuff. Let me see. Prior to that, because she joined what in season 2? Yeah, The Whale was 2022, but she wasn't that apparently. Fear Street was 21. I think the real way to tell is if they branch out from Netflix. Not to saying that's like a bad thing to stay within that ecosystem, but like I'm assuming a big reason she was involved in Fear Street was because Netflix was like, "You're amazing, let's put you in this." So if you branch out from like Netflix shows or movies, I think that's a positive sign. Spree, yeah, I was seeing that on here. I had not heard of that, but that did show up. That Joe Keery was in. She's moving. Yeah, Winona Ryder. I feel like, funnily enough, the thing I think of her in is oh, I blanking. Not Big Daddy. What's the other one with Adam Sandler? Mr. Deeds. I think of her in Mr. Deeds. Kind of funnily enough. Joe Keery also has a band. Yeah, so does Finn Wolfhard plays music. I see it on like on Instagram. I'm like, why am I being promoted this? I think just because Stranger Things is popular. So I feel like a lot of people in Hollywood are in bands. Like Michael C. Hall. He's a lead singer of a band. So Joe's band Dio. Oh, Joe. I was gonna say Dio. Isn't that the band that sings Holy Diver? But seen them at Coachella. Nice. Mr. Deeds. Beetlejuice. That's a good one. Gosling is in a band too. Yeah, I feel like all these people. It's always funny seeing him also being in Remember the Titans back in the day. All right, we answered that first question. I may fill up some water and leave this next question with you guys for a second. Oof, this is the one we just talked about. What exactly is that flesh wall? Why is it surrounding the Upside Down and forming a circle around the Hawkins lab? Maybe I should read like the notes of these. Yeah, let me know your guys' predictions. I know Cope gave the thought of the Mind Flayer being the wall. I'll see what this website says. All right, be right back. All right. Where's my other headphone? I realized the desktop music was on for a second there when I went to break. Okay, let me see. Well, that first thing that talked about what Henry's really doing, what does it say here? Okay. Why is this a question? It answered some question. We know the Demogorgon for sure took her. Why is that question being posed then? We don't know how or why she goes along with suddenly living in Henry's house. Because she believed Henry. That's why. Some of these questions on here. Okay. Let's talk about the wall here. This is saying they think 11 knows what the wall is. Yeah, it didn't really talk about it, so I'm fine with saying the Mind Flayer for now. We can go with that. I don't really have a good guess for what that is, other than obviously it's protecting the lab where everything started, because we're kind of coming back to where everything began. Vera from The Conjuring's the lead singer. Mind Flayer 100%. I mean, I'm debating too how much of a reveal is it gonna be, because is it just gonna be like, oh, these kids are held within this wall and it's just like a incubation chamber for them? Or is there some higher purpose beyond just being like, this is the protective surrounding of Vecna's home? Do I think Barb is still alive? I believe she's dead, but as I mentioned earlier in the stream, I've heard rumblings of her getting a cameo in this final season. Who else to protect Henry? True. I mean, that would be a good way to include the Mind Flayer, because otherwise the Mind Flayer doesn't really have much of a purpose other than just being a big, intimidating force. But I don't think Barb is like alive. I feel like if there's some Barb inclusion, it's gonna be a flashback, or maybe somebody's gonna be like freaked out seeing like the dead version of her or something. You'll see her carcass again or something. I don't know. I don't think she's coming back and being like a hero at the end or anything like that. Okay, how can Vecna manipulate music like when he lures Holly with her favorite song on the radio? Why is that a question? He literally has like his own imagination. He can do whatever he wants pretty much. There's like no rules. Let's see what else it says on here though. Does this mean music can't provide an escape from Vecna? That's not true, because we literally saw Max looking through that. Granted, some time has passed since then, but she had an option to escape with the music, so I don't think it's implying that music is no longer something that could be used against Vecna. I think you very much still can be. Yeah, they've done kind of the Barb thing already, so I was surprised to see that we may get another appearance. Unless, once again, we're trying to come full circle to season 1, or just like the show as a whole and revisiting all that stuff. It almost seemed to work for Max, but this seemed to be without Vecna's attention fully on her. Okay, well, Vecna can't have his attention fully on her at all times, so. All right, where did 11 send Max that she's in Henry's memories? Why is she so afraid to go in those caves? That's what we talked about. What are they saying here? As discovered in episode 3, Max is alive. Did anybody not expect Max to be alive? I kind of feel like that was pretty obvious that was going to be the case. Like, you leave it out there as an unknown, it's going to be a definite. Actually, this is what somebody said earlier. Could Henry refuse to go in the caves because they remind him of the too painful moment where he gained his gruesome powers in the play? And if Max can walk through his memories, can she somehow tamper with them? Yeah, I mean, maybe we talked about Pennywise earlier. Are we going to be doing a Pennywise thing where we're going to use his powers against him and make him be afraid of us? Is like Will going to be like kind of overthrowing him? Curious as to why Karen couldn't see Henry. Only HOC. I don't know, because he's Freddy Krueger. He only goes after kids. I don't know. I'm not sure. He's only present where he wants to be. He was in her mind, I guess, maybe is the answer. Of course, Max was live, yeah. I mean, you don't have that stuff drawn out, then not. Then again, we did draw out the Hopper thing, which you had the payoff with 8, so I guess it had a payoff, but I was pretty leaning towards when he gave that speech to 11 and had the like explosives. I'm like, he's gone. He's gonna be cooked. I'm gonna be wrong for not having picked him. Figure Max will be alive. I mean, I think she's in a coma or whatever now, but I think she's coming out of it. I think Max gets a happy ending, is my assumption. I was surprised, like, why didn't they, like, kill off Mike's, like, dad or his parents in general? I mean, I guess the mom gave the clue for Henry, but I don't know if there's much importance for that character going forward. We had the comedic relief of the bacon in the first episode, so, and then the golfing. It was funny. I was like, he's gonna go inside and try to attack the thing with the golf club. It's like, yep, that's what he tried to do. Which his wife had better luck with the wine bottle. Hopper's gonna be like Dewey. Yeah, but they killed. Then we knew what happened to Dewey. I mean, I was surprised they did it again. Like, I bought into people's opinion that Hopper had a fake out death in the past, so they're not going to do it again. But then we did it again now. Because, I mean, they obviously could still kill him off, but he survived the episode, so it'd be weird to go back to it for a third time. Unless they're trying to just put in breadcrumbs for it to happen for real, for real. Karen her with her wine. Oh, yeah, Eleven's quote about that. Do you guys like Eleven's like dialogue choices? This is something I mentioned at the beginning too, where she'll be talking to somebody and she'll do the very like slower paced speaking because her English isn't like pitched as being the strongest. And then there's other moments where she's like very coherently saying a bunch of stuff. So it feels like we kind of bounce back and forth between her comfort level with English. Karen in her wine, yeah. The bathtub thing was intense. Yeah, I was like, there's no way I'm holding my breath that long. I'm definitely gonna pop up and be killed by that thing. It has been weird though, like once again, just plot armor of shows or whatever. But even the parents, they get pretty brutally beat up, but Demogorgons don't kill them. Whereas these soldiers were like totally killing everybody off. I did notice that too with 11 and Hopper. They definitely have a willingness to kill people. Like 11 snapped that guy's neck who was on the like watchtower. Hopper mostly knocks people out when he can. Like he knocked that one doctor out, but then the military guy shot him anyway. But even Hopper, when he was in that scene where him and 11 were trapped, I mean, he was kind of put up against a corner, but he like shoots at them, then throws the grenades at them. So they're definitely building up a body count. Do you guys like 11's outfit? Maybe, yeah. Do you guys like Eleven's outfit? Her athletic outfit? That was the other thing in episode 1, when they did kind of the fake out of 11 being chased, but it's really her just doing like the obstacle course thing. I feel like she didn't look like the best example of somebody who is, I don't know, being extremely athletic. Like, she looked awkward and stuff like that. But, I don't know. 11 was honestly kind of an ass. Yeah, I mean, they're kind of just bouncing off each other. Like, they're being... Like, she made the comment back to him about that he said to her, like, calling her an asshole or whatever. Yeah, they did give the parents extreme plot armor. I don't really get why. Because if you killed them off, then I'd at least be like, okay, maybe people can die. Whereas now if you have me pick, I kind of maybe lean towards what you said, where it's like, I don't know if anyone's really getting taken out. Like, for what reason? Are we really going to get a scene with the dad again in the last 4 episodes? I think that dude's going to be in the coma for the next 4 episodes. So I don't know why they chose to give that be his resolution. Her outfit, it does look comfy. It looks soft. She was a kid. Yeah. That is fair. Yeah, Ted had more involvement for sure in the first couple episodes. He had more like one-liner, like quips here. All right, what else we got? Did we do this one? Yeah, talked about the play. Jamie Campbell Bower, I don't know who that is. Someone involved with the show, maybe? Told him that Max is absolutely a catalyst for a certain event later on in the story. When he was asked about aggravating it, must be for Vecna to have her hovering on his mental periphery. Okay. I mean, it was probably pretty obvious that Max is going to come into play with at least the mental, like the in the memory storyline. It says, as a reminder, 11 originally sent Henry to Dimension X, which is where he gained his powers in the first place. Does this mean she sent Max there as well? Yeah, he had the kitchen stuff. He had the fighting with his wife about Holly. He had the golf stuff. So he had a few scenes. He had the kind of opening conversations too with like, how long are these people going to be staying with us? What else is Will capable of with his newfound powers? How do they differ from 11's and Vecna's powers? That's probably the more interesting question. It is interesting seeing him like get hurt whenever like the Demogorgons got hurt or whatever. Granted, he's like still fine, but he's like aching in pain. Okay, they emphasize that 11 and Will's powers are very different. Seems like Will's are more similar to Vecna's based off like the bone breaking. Okay, 11 can go into people's minds and obviously move things and fly. She's also more used to her abilities because she's had them. But it's so useful this season seeing what Will is able to do. Okay, so it's seeming like maybe 11 does more like mental harm and Will does more like physical. Granted, 11 also does like the force push thing too. You don't like how depressed Dustin was at the start? Yeah, I mean, it kind of made sense. Do you guys know for sure the time gap between season 4 and 5? Because Eddie's tombstone said 86. We're in the fall of 87, right? So, I mean, it makes sense he still cares about his friend. But in some ways, he was probably acting like it had just happened. Yeah, I would like. It seemed like it's been like a year, right? Which in my head, I'm like, all right, you kids have to be seniors at this point. There's no way you're any younger as far as your class that you're in. Do you guys know how old Holly is too? Is that ever mentioned? Like, she felt like obviously a more prominent character here, and I don't remember them for season 5. I think they mentioned going after like 9 and 10-year-olds was like the group of kids they were going after, so maybe it's something like that. In fact, that hasn't messed with Dustin at all. Yeah, Dustin, I mean, he had his own side plot with the bullies, but he hasn't really played a big part in the like main storyline. I thought something more was going to happen with when Joyce was like, Will, you're not going to do the car thing. Your brother can do it. Like, I thought Jonathan was going to screw up something, which it didn't seem like he did. It just resulted in him being with Steve, I guess. But there wasn't like a negative to him going with Steve. Yeah, the other thing I wasn't sure about, like, I don't remember exactly everybody's home life, but where are Dustin's parents? Like, it makes sense. Mike's parents in the hospital. Will's parents, like his mom's involved in all this stuff. Where is Lucas's parents? Where are Dustin's parents? They're just like, we don't care. Like, I kind of feel like those are just like out of sight, out of mind. Don't question that kind of stuff. 18 months between the two of them. It's a good amount of time. She may be 10 years old. Yeah, that's kind of what I roughly thought. Yeah, they had, even the show made fun of that. They're like, you don't even know how old our daughter is. And he's like, I don't. You're right. No clue. Dustin's mom maybe did. I don't think that's the case. Is that class 1 or 2? Yeah, that was a funny line. He had some good moments. Yeah, she should have given an answer. Like, our daughter is 10. You should know this. And I'd be like, all right, cool. Thank you for letting me know. That was the other thing, too. I'd have to like break them down to see which episodes I liked more than the other ones, but it was very convenient the way they decided to catch us up with Robin doing the radio stuff and just like telling us everything that's happened over the last like year or so with like the military and the everything going on in Hawkins. It was a very much like I'm gonna tell you, not show you, but it allowed us to get like caught up really quickly, so that was mostly fine. Yeah, I mean, if he's traumatized from Eddie dying, I feel like he probably would have been like in a deep depression if his mom also got that treatment. Okay, what else are we saying about Will? Is that it? Noah, so Will's actor, said that Will's abilities show in a different way later on in the series, specifically in Volume 2. So we'll see what we can do in Volume 2. Would Will tell Mike about his feelings? How would Mike respond? I'm assuming Mike would respond like understandably. I mean, he's not gonna like be kissing Will, I don't think, but I think he's gonna be a supportive friend, is my guess. What else we got here, though? Mike has commented before on Will not liking girls, but the realization that he could be the object of Will's affection. How would Mike take the confession? They didn't even answer that question. They just posed the question. I don't know. How do you guys think that Mike will respond to Will's interest in him? If it gets addressed. I assume it probably will. I think the military told Robin they could do the radio thing. That's definitely one of those two where, like I mentioned with the bunkers and all the like stuff they got. I know their homie, what's his name? I always want to say Murray, is like hooking them up with stuff. But it's very much like Saw, where it's like, Jigsaw, John Kramer, where'd you get all this stuff? I know you're like an engineer, but you have like these warehouses and like, where did you get all of this, these buildings and stuff? Like, how would the military not know about this tunnel going into their base? I don't know. So there's a lot of things that you kind of just ignore. Same could be said for Will's dad. Yeah, I don't really remember how that concluded, but I kind of feel like he's out of sight, out of mind. He's not in Hawkins like some of these other parents are. Is Henry or the Mind Flayer truly in charge? I'm assuming the answer is Henry, but we'll see what they think. Okay, it just leaves it up in the air. What do you guys think? Do you think Henry or the Mind Flayer are the big boss? I assume Henry, unless they want to try to pivot in these last few episodes. What? You're talking about Mr. Wheeler? Get powers next? That'd be impressive. Also, how's it going, Nate? Nate, thanks for hopping in. We're kind of just, there's a website I'm looking up like outstanding questions and kind of talking through them here. I mean, technically, his girlfriend called him Dusty Buns, right? Oh, yeah, you just said that. Is she just kind of out of sight, out of mind, too, at this point? I mean, I know they were, like, friends from camp or whatever, but curious if she comes back. I think Henry is the cause. Yeah, I mean, we're getting a lot of his, like, backstory. I mean, it'd be weird to have the Mind Flayer's backstory because it's kind of just like an entity, but there's like human elements to Henry to where, I mean, the only thing I can think is like he got created as like being Vecna somehow. So, but there's always like a bigger thing you can allude to. Susie, yeah, maybe she'll come back. I don't know. Haven't watched yet. All right, appreciate you hopping in, Troy. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for your engagement on the Welcome to Dairy stuff. I really appreciate that. We are talking spoilers, so if you haven't watched, I would definitely not be chilling. But thank you for your support. It's a never-ending story. Yeah, where they're singing. What was that, season 3? Almost dropped my laptop. Yeah, they ended things. I think that was a good episode to kind of cut things off for like the subsequent volume 2. I feel like there was a lot of build-up, a lot of stuff that happened. I will say, while the trailer kind of spoiled that big fight scene with the Demogorgons in the military, I knew that was coming. The trailer's like depiction of Vecna talking to Will didn't happen the same way in the show. So I'm glad they kept some of that under wraps. Although some people would argue that can be kind of like deceiving when you have trailer footage that's not actually in the show. But I'm glad they didn't fully spoil it. You were in shock when Karen was attacked. Yeah, we were talking about that. Do you think it made sense for his parents to get out of that fight alive? I mean, granted, they're in like critical condition, so who knows for sure, but I assume they would have said that they didn't make it if they weren't going to make it. I think it didn't make a whole lot of sense to not at least kill off Mr. Wheeler. Imagine going to the premiere. Only seen the first episode. Yeah, that's why I didn't watch. They had the Netflix posted like the first 5 minutes of episode 1 on YouTube a while ago, and I was like, I'm not going to watch that because it's just going to be like a little tease. You're hyped. Yeah, I mean, that scene was probably one of the most intense ones. That and obviously the ending moment. Maybe when Hopper was doing his fake out. Yeah, they had a lot of flashbacks with Hopper's like biological daughter, which is why I made the post kind of making the comparison. And then you get Hopper saying like, I would kill 1,000 people for 11. So definitely had some some Last of Us similarities. But I don't know if, do you guys expect his daughter to come more into play other than just flashbacks, as far as like giving him an emotional reason to want to be Elle's father? Hands feet were tingly. Yeah, it was definitely intense. How many plot holes they filled? All right, what else we have on here? They did a lot of this too. They did a lot of referencing to other IPs. A Wrinkle in Time was a big one, which I'm not overly familiar with, but this question is, how will A Wrinkle in Time and D&D continue to help viewers understand what the Upside Down is and what really is going on? I mean, D&D definitely helps with like the physical, like here's our attack plan, and I'm going to show you like chess pieces almost, highlighting them. So I feel like that's a big way they do it. What are they saying on here though? Many theories about Eddie somehow coming back as Cass, who is a vampire, have taken flight. And many are also speculating that, I don't know the D&D names here. Thessal Hydra may make an appearance as a big bad in Season 5 because it was introduced in Season 1, and Will painted the creature in Season 4. How Season 5 could end with numerology and key figures not yet addressed in the show, such as Cass the Bloody-Handed and Thessal Hydra. Okay, so it's implying that maybe they can address those two things that are in D&D lore by Eddie being one of them and coming back, and the other one being some big bad boss, maybe. Do you guys think there's a chance there's like a big villain that we haven't seen yet? Like, we obviously have the Demogorgon, the Mind Flayer, Vecna. Do you think within the last 4 episodes they can be like, actually, the big boss was, I don't know, Jimmy all along? Like, I don't, I'm curious if we're like limited by what we know now as far as the outcomes, or if they're going to expand even further still. All right. Meanwhile, Holly's love of A Wrinkle in Time has introduced a new lens through which to examine the supernatural going on. Ooh, episode 6 of Season 5. That's the thing. I didn't check really titles in this one. I would have maybe realized that Holly would be more of a main character if I did. Episode 6, titled Escape from Camazotz. That's the place that Holly mentioned, right? To Max. Is Bent to explain more about the place Max and Holly found themselves in which Holly compares the planet Camazotz from Madeline's bestseller in the book. It's a dark planet where no light shines. That serves as a home to the disembodied It, an evil force that wants, this is what they said in the show, an evil force that wants to impose its darkness upon all. Okay, so I'm assuming episode 6 maybe is when we're going to try to get out of this memory world. Okay. I think in some ways Vecna is just like Thanos. I mean, in one way, because he's going to have like them Avengers team up against him, but he's like, I want to create this world. Yeah, I mean, it seemed like it was pretty similar as far as like, I'm going to take you in as my new daughter and do everything to protect you. I doubt Eddie comes back. I would be surprised if we got Eddie. It seems like that'd be, I don't know. He was great in season 4, but I feel like I'm fine with him being in season 4 and that being it. Eddie's 6 feet under. There's gonna be a dragon or something. That would be sick. Erica's badass when she stabbed the girl with the needle. Yeah, that scene was a little bit wild when she's like taking out the family. That was one that was obvious to me too. When they're like, we need somebody to get in the house. I'm like, it's gonna be Erica. We haven't introduced her yet. It's gonna be her. Derek was hilarious. I grew to like Derek when he was doing the stuff with the kids in the camp a little bit more. When he was just being like a little brat in the barn and in his house, he was kind of obnoxious. And once again, I don't know how he like took down Joyce and Will and all them. Like he was a linebacker just like running through there, but he was funnier when he was doing the like plan to get the kids out, which that was another one where when they were talking about who's going to be the one to infiltrate, I'm like, it's going to be him. 100% they're picking him. And sure enough, they did. Dare because of Will's, or Dragon because of Will's painting shows Mike and 64 in the van. I would be down for a Dragon. I mean, are we thinking Dragon just like another villain or like in charge type of Dragon? What happened to you guys working at Hawkins Police? Probably not relevant is my guess. You hit it. Yeah, I hated Derek at first too. I'm like, why are you? I was a little bit worried because I mentioned in one of my shorts, I'm like, I don't really want a bunch of side characters to be introduced again, which he was one of them, but I think it was fine. It made sense. It's hilarious that Joyce, out of all people, got to make him change. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she was doing the like mom thing kind of too. Also, seeing the Demogorgon kind of probably changed his opinion too. So he realized there were monsters. It was kind of funny. I like when they throw like a little bit of comedy in when they were getting the kids out of the bathroom and the like water starts leaking. Although I don't know how they held that door as long as they did against like 3 soldiers, but all right, what else we got here? Well, Jonathan proposed to Nancy. That was interesting, seeing the ring. Will Steve and Nancy have a moment? I think that's the only reason I would consider Steve as a at-risk person, because he doesn't fit in that like cookie cutter ending, happily ever after, but I don't know if he has to, because technically Will doesn't either at this point. But maybe it's kind of, I mean, Robin's pitch to Will was kind of like be happy with herself, so maybe they don't need to have like a relationship per se. Let's see. Yep. Thanks to their not so subtle hints, we see that Jonathan's hoping to propose. What would Nancy say? She has a noticeable reaction to being in close proximity to Steve in the first episode. Yeah, they have a very weird tension. The whole like them running up the ladder to the radio tower thing was I don't know, it was fine, I guess, but it was very much like a whatchamacallit, like Team Edward thing where it's like, oh, love triangle thing going on here, which we had done before to I think Jonathan's point. All right. And the late Eddie Munson noticed there were still sparks between them. Yeah, we did get that last season. I don't feel like Nancy will wind up with Steve, though. I think that's going to be one of those things. If he doesn't die, I think he's still going to be like on his own. He'll just be Dustin's like older brother. I don't see, like, even if Jonathan died, I don't know if I see Nancy being with Steve. It is funny about, I assume you guys know that when they made season 1, Steve was supposed to die because he was like this ass that they were going to kill off, but apparently he was so endearing to everybody. They're like, you know what? Actually, we're going to keep you around. So they could take him out now, but maybe they can hold the door when 3 of them were holding the door against soldiers. Right? I think I would have just run towards the hole at that point. I'm like, you know what? Just let him fly in and fall on the ground and then just like immediately run down there. I was done with the jokes. Yeah. I do think the Robin and Will stuff was handled well. Jonathan and Steve fighting. Yeah, they kind of reverted back to that, which I've said a few times, full circle. Maybe they're trying to like wrap up that storyline. So we're going back to it again. Yeah, with the ring. I mean, the only way you do that is if Jonathan dies. There's a chance of that. But it also is funny that the actors in real life, you guys probably know this too, that play Jonathan and Nancy are together. All right, what else is on here? What exactly does Dr. K want with 11, and how does she and her team develop the satellites or the kryptonite that incapacitated 11 and Callie? Am I pronouncing her name right? Is it Kaylee or? Oh, I'm assuming Kaylee because it says K. No, that's Dr. K. Never mind. Take that back. Hope to make Steve's character better. Yeah, I mean he was definitely trying to impress Nancy in a few scenes, but I thought it was funny whenever he did it. It does seem odd that he's still going through that, but he still lives in the same town with her, so. You think this says in the card that Steve isn't into Nancy anymore? Really? I mean, I think he wanted Jonathan to think that. I don't know if I think that. If they want him to kill off Kieran and Ted, they're not killing off anyone. Unless they're trying to suspend your disbelief and make you think that. Then they're at the last second, they're gonna do it. It'd be a dick move for Nancy to see Jonathan die and move on to Steve. Perhaps. I was thinking like isn't that how Harry Potter ends, where it's like a fast forward in time, like Jonathan dies and then you like give us some like fast forward in time thing where they're together. I don't know. But it's a valid point. That'd be a very quick moving on. Nancy was the first girl Steve ever fell in love with. Yeah, he definitely returns to those thoughts. Let's see what it says about the last one I said here. Okay, we knew this. Linda Hamilton's character replaces Dr. Brenner, the head scientist. She blames 11 for the whole thing, even the kidnapping of the kids. And she seems fascinated by 11 can do. It is interesting. We have like these three different teams. We have like our protagonists. We have Vecna and his like upside down squad. And then you have like this military group that's just kind of like screwing up everything for both sides. So it's kind of like three different factions going on at once here. Ted's definitely in danger. I mean, they could give us like a Deb Morgan situation, but I feel like when you say he's in coma, that just means he's not going to be in the rest of the season, but he's not going to die, is my takeaway. Like maybe the last episode you see him with Mike and they're like all happily ever after. But I just take him being in a coma as like, hey, don't expect to see him for a few episodes, but him surviving. What do I think about the whole Will and Mike thing? I talked about it a little bit earlier. I think it'll probably get revealed that Will has feelings for Mike, and I think Mike will accept them, like in a way like, hey, I support you as your friend, is my assumption. And I think Will just gets comfortable with himself and doesn't need a relationship, is my guess. You think Max is gonna die? Max, I feel like is safe, but that's just my guess. Then again, I thought because they faked out Hopper's death previously that he was gonna be safe, and then they almost did it again here, so it's possible. I feel like Max and Lucas make it out together. Still think killing Brenner off in season 4. I feel like Brenner was just okay. Did you guys like Brenner as a character? Any of his scenes, I didn't really care for him, to be honest. Yeah, Nate, we talked about that earlier too. The supposedly most gruesome kill, which we haven't seen yet. Unless, like, the one kill at the end of the military base was pretty gnarly, where the guy's on the ground and Vecna puts his like Groot arm through the back of his head. But obviously that wasn't what they were talking about. We'll get something still. Papa, sure, everyone says, yeah, bring everybody back. We're all coming back. Bob's coming back. All right. If Casey's 11 as a weapon and wants to harness her abilities, what could she possibly want to do with them? I don't know. She's going to be like Shaw from Welcome to Derry and want to fight Russia with them. I don't know. Yeah, Vecna definitely. That's an example too, though. Like, no-name military person we just totally wreck. But like the other characters that we know, like Vecna has to know, hey, I've seen Mike you like 50 times already in this show. I should probably just take you out so I don't have to see you in another scene. But he just leaves it on the ground. It's the same with Dr. K and Hopper. It's like, yeah, we'll just turn our back to him. Some of that stuff it's a little bit like, okay, how have we not died? But I don't know. It's supposed to be more of a feel-good show and sometimes, so I can forgive it. Brenner was meant to be unlikable. Yeah, but I mean, like, there's unlikable and there's like, I don't really care for you in scenes. Like, there's villains that I like seeing on screen, even if they're unlikable. Or Irene's question. I just Googled like questions going into Volume 2, and this is like a Deadline article. Watch AK killed. That would be hilarious. It's just like, you're done. I'm not gonna give you a chance. I think Cope was joking. Obviously, 8's gonna have some integral part to the story, but I think the point was that if you're not one of the main cast, we can toss you aside. Everyone hated that side story. Yeah, it was not great. You're shocked with the arm to the face. Definitely was a bit more aggressive than the other ones. I didn't hate the Demogorgon fighting as much as I thought it would. Like in the trailer, it very much looked like the Demogorgon was like jump cutting like very fast. Like it looked pretty CGI faked. It looked a little better in the actual show, I thought. What if Vecna possesses Will? Makes Will kill one of the people of the group. That would be wild. If Will like kills Mike, that would be. I mean, I would probably do that honestly, but they're not going to. I wouldn't think. But if you want to like come for shock value, you need to watch the rest of the episodes. I would agree. It's not the same actress for 8. I mean, they showed the flashback, so I probably should have made that connection. But do we know why? Is it just she wasn't? They didn't want to go with her. That is interesting, though. I mean, we briefly saw her in present time, but curious why they went with that choice. Following the big reunion, long lost sisters, explanation for the satellite technology or kryptonite. Yeah, because this was the first time we got the whole like thing that can stop 11, wasn't it? Did we have that in prior seasons where this like signal can just shut her down? Oh, it seems like. Do you guys know is it Kaylee or Callie? I'm gonna keep saying both of them, but apparently she's the one fueling that machine, which makes sense. She was in the room that Hopper opened. The Duffer Brothers teased that bringing her back is a big swing they're excited for. So you're right, Dr. K is going to shoot her in right away. Signals, yeah, that's what I thought too. I know you just recently watched season 4 and stuff. No show could be this peak. Stranger Things is the greatest. I have seen 2, which obviously everything comes down to opinion, but I've seen the Duffer Brothers say they personally hate when shows have like a horrible ending, like a show they really love just tanks on the ending. So they've claimed they put a lot of love in making sure that doesn't happen here. Probably watch the next 2 episodes in the morning. Yeah, I wasn't sure I was gonna watch them all either until I realized I'm like, it's like 4 episodes. It's like 5 hours. It also came out earlier than I expected. Like it wasn't like late in the night. It was early enough that you could binge them all. I thought the sound thing was stopping 11. Yeah, it was just like, hey, we have this thing to stop you. We're not gonna. I mean, maybe they'll explain it in the next couple episodes, but it was just kind of a way to nerf her powers. It felt like. Watch the show but a million times. How would you guys, out of curiosity? As I said, I'll probably will do a short of this when we get the rest of the season. How would you guys rank the Stranger Things seasons? You can include 5 if you want. We've gotten half of it, so I don't know if that gives you enough, but 11 says you couldn't see the room because she was more powerful. I would hope. I mean, they're definitely not going to intentionally bomb it. Hopefully they deliver. I mean, I think the finale for the previous 4 seasons have all been good, so I don't have reason to believe the final finale will be anything but that. Can't be worse than OG Dexter. I didn't hate that one as much on rewatch, but yeah, it definitely wasn't great. 5, 4, 3, 1, 2. Too hard to compare. Yeah, you probably have one of the better perspectives because I think I've only ever watched each season once when they came out. Partially because I didn't like keep Netflix for a long time, so it was not something I just had on like rewatch availability. For me, seasons 1 and 2 are the best. 5 part 1 is probably next. You didn't like 4? That's surprising. I thought people loved 4. You don't like Eddie as a character? You know, that's totally fine. I thought he was solid. I mean, I was impressed that they made us care about a character by season 4 that we had never seen before. Especially because he kind of just did what Steve already did. Where he was like Dustin's homeboy. So the fact that they that quickly got us bought into the character like that, I was impressed. What'd you not like about Eddie? All right, what else do we have on here? Last question on here. What's the big significance with the Upside Down being frozen on November 6th, 1983? I mean, I'm assuming they're just implying it's going to happen again on November 6th in 87. Which I guess that's the answer to my question. I had been wondering, like, the passage of time, how long, like, did this first 4 episodes take? I assume, like, 2 days. As far as like in story time. All right, day 1 viewers of the show know that Will Byers went missing on November 6th, 83. Okay. It's known as Stranger Things Day. Is that the case? Did I miss that? Holly's kidnapping occurred November 3, 87. But as Lucas pointed out, doesn't seem like a coincidence. Yeah. The opening night of Joyce's Oklahoma production, in which Henry Creel starred, was also November 6th, 1959. Yeah, on the flyer when Max went back in time. Duffer Brothers told us that they will address the time freeze aspect. Okay, so they're going to tell us. It's the takeaway there. 4 is so crazy, but 5 is wild. They've done a pretty good job at like continuing to ramp up the stakes and not having it get too crazy. Dustin said he'd look for the lost sheep. Yeah, I knew from the trailer too. I had seen Dustin like look beat up. I'm like, he's about to get taken out at this cemetery. Which that part didn't make sense to me too. I get he got beat up, which led to him being late to the stuff. But was he originally planning to be late anyway? Because he was at the cemetery and they're like, he should have been here an hour ago or something like that. I'm like, there's no way he's, I don't know. It felt like he had no intention of being on time. Also, when he coincidentally finds, is it Steve in the car with Jonathan? Do you guys have any like thoughts on how that happened? He just shows up on his bike. Was he like tracking them somehow? I don't know. Pressure plot in season 4 was boring. I didn't like it as much. There are definitely scenes in this season too where I felt like Robin, I wish she had more of a role. she kind of just did a comedic relief thing a lot of times and doing like references to other IPs. Like when she did the dick joke a bunch of times, or she did the Back to the Future thing. Do you like the rest of stuff? I thought it made sense to the story, but it's definitely not the parts I like the most. They did also kind of do the, not for the entire scene, but in season 4 when they were in California and they had like that shooting scene at the house where Jonathan's like trying to duck with the kids to get out, and it's all like one straight shot. They started to do that in episode 4 of this season with the military being attacked, but then they eventually did cut to a different camera. Alexi over Eddie any day. I mean, I think you can realize the Russia stuff was like important, the music stuff, but not like it. Like, I think I kind of fall in that camp where it's like, it made sense for the story. Did I enjoy it a whole lot? Not really. Hopper and Joy survive with the two of them getting married. They can get married alongside Jonathan and Nancy getting married. Yeah, the Dustin Steve relationship seemed a little bit on edge. I don't know if because Steve was like jealous of Eddie or their relationship just kind of like drifted over time. But they definitely were, like, I feel like in past seasons they would kind of like badger each other, but in a fun, like, get along way. It was definitely more like mean spirited in this season when they were like ripping on each other. Yeah, the Wonder vibe. Yeah. Love Robin, her personality. Yeah, Robin's been good. I mean, I like Maya Hawke. I'm a big Ethan Hawke fan, so. Yeah, they like to really lean to the liberal jokes in the show. Which, time period, I guess, plus Midwest. Joyce was annoyed by Robin most scenes. I mean, she believed her. She probably got annoyed as soon as Robin took her son from her and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go fix the flux capacitor. Don't mind us." What happened to Ted? Yeah, he's in a coma. How's it going, Red Dawn? Thanks for hopping in. We were just obviously chatting some Stranger Things season 5. A little spontaneously, so I didn't have much planned, but we're just kind of talking through stuff. Yeah, he is probably indefinitely in a coma, with the exception of maybe a final episode scene, but I don't expect to see him really going forward. He gained powers as stronger than everyone. Yeah, he is going to be the Magneto of the team. Watch the entire episode. Yeah, I did the same. I went into it not knowing how much I would watch because that's like, what, 5 hours of content? Because I think most of them were about an hour, but the last one was like an hour and a half. I also, maybe this was a bad idea. I got Netflix a while ago with like a PlayStation deal. And at first we subscribed to like the no ads plan, but eventually I was like, let's just switch to the ads plan. I'm not watching enough right now. So we had the ads plan for this watch. And I don't know if anyone else does or if they watch it without ads, but every time we got an ad break, there was this Discover Stranger Things commercial, which was A, it was louder than the actual show, which was super annoying. But B, it like took me out of the show a little bit. Like I'm watching this intense scene with the Stranger Things cast, and then we cut away and we have a Discover commercial with Nancy on the phone with a customer service person asking for like stuff she wants to spend money on, like a flamethrower. It's like, I feel like I was like, okay, what is happening here? But I get why they showed that commercial. I'm surprised Joyce didn't know about Back to the Future. Yeah, I'm assuming she's just being treated as kind of like spacey or not present with the times. Because that probably would be more appealing to like younger kids at the time. Time went by super fast. Watch them all on mobile with headphones. I was watching them on tablet, so I wasn't much different. I was going to fall asleep, leave the footsteps over tomorrow, and was hooked. It is very easy. They do a pretty good job. The other example I can think of this, like within books, was the Hunger Games. Whenever they ended a chapter, the author did a good job at Suzanne Collins, I think is her name. The like last page or paragraph made you want to read the next chapter. I feel like Stranger Things does a pretty good job at like leaving you, not like a complete cliffhanger, but wanting you to find out what happens next. Back to the Future came out. She thought Hopper died. Moved to Cali. Yeah, she may have been busy with life. That's true too. Discover commercial was too much. Yeah, it was a bit obnoxious, for sure. The Nancy was cool, but I get so tired. Yeah. You have Jonathan in the background being like, flowers? And I could like probably quote you the ad at this point. And I just saw it tonight, but I don't know. As the two things that were annoying was it was louder, especially when Nancy was talking. And then two, when you're watching the show, then you cut to a commercial for like a credit card company. It's like, okay, I need to like get back into the mentality of the show. Love when authors do that. Yeah, I don't read enough, but it is nice when they kind of get you invested in a way that's like, I don't want to set this down. Coolest aspect was Max. Yeah, I mean, I expected Max too. I don't think I expected her in that moment. I wasn't sure who I thought was coming out of the cave, but that one surprised me that it was her. Holly's just awkward. I mean, she's like a 10-year-old, or playing a 10-year-old at least, so. I honestly thought she was a little bit more polished than I expected. I'm like, I thought you would be like young, but she was pretty good at with her lines, I thought. What he meant to say was flamethrower. Yeah, exactly. I want to set a book down. Since Ted is in a coma, what if he's the one to save Max? I think you guys are more hopeful for Ted's involvement in the story than I expect to be the case. I think there's a 50% chance we don't see Ted again this season. The other 50% says in the final season, it's like he came out of the coma and you get a quick shot with him and his kid. I like the plot that Max couldn't escape. Yeah. I mean, it seemed like she couldn't get out because the tape ended at that time. You see Ted dying in the coma? I don't know. I feel like if they were going to do that, they would have just said he died like there. Max will save Max. Yeah, I mean, Max is probably going to be the one to save Holly even, so. They're going to pull Mr. Turner. That's another Boy Meets World reference, yeah. I could see them. I could see that happening. At most, I kind of expect, similar to how the season started with him having some kind of like jokes at breakfast, I could see the final scene of like the season being like, hey, we're doing breakfast again, and he doesn't get his bacon again or something like that. Like that's the extent of Ted's involvement in the rest of the story, in my opinion. Having his kids. Yeah, they kind of just, I guess the mom was like conscious. So, but they didn't even try to visit him, I guess. They definitely did not overly care. They were definitely more so focused on Holly, which makes sense, but. That dying would be a huge drag. Yeah, but in some ways I feel like it would give it, granted it's kind of still a fringe character, but it would give the stakes to the season. Like to this point, we've killed off military people. That's like about it. So I don't know if you've gotten me convinced that a main character could be at risk at this point. I thought Karen was toast when she like broke the bottle and she went in with the wine bottle a few times. I thought you're going to go in with one of those and he's just going to bite your arm off is what I fully expected. Like I expected her to push through and just gnaw her hand. But she didn't. She just got whacked across the room, and then she's like, all right, put her in surgery. She's fine. And also, she was like unable to speak to anybody. But then when she goes in there, she's like, all right, I'm going to write all this stuff for you. It did surprise me, too. It kind of made sense for the plot, I guess. But the fact that the mom knew Henry was the name, but Mike didn't, even after he talked to her, like waiting outside of the teacher's office. Like we conveniently just kept calling him not Henry. Never gotten a lot of the parents to jump. Yeah, it kind of just feels like if they don't show it to you, they're telling you it's not important. Kid Joel's running around. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure their defense would be back in the 80s, that was common, that you would do that. But in the part that I think they lose me on is, okay, Dustin's mom by like, I don't know, midnight would be, where are you, Dustin? So there's a threshold to how much that can be true. Point out the dad didn't even know how old he was. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely not overly present parents. But you would think with all the stuff that's gone wrong, they would be like, oh, maybe I should kind of... It's similar to how I felt with Welcome to Derry, with these parents that are like really concerned about their kids, but then they're just running around at night in graveyards. It's like, I don't feel like you're actually concerned. It's the Princess Bride line. I don't think you know what that word means. Seems Hopper and Joyce are more like parents of the kids. Yeah, for sure. They're more present, whether they're parents, friends. I mean, the very opening like scene. Is it Mrs. Wheeler and Nancy? They're coming out of the bathroom together. Thought Cameron's gonna be a real death. Yeah, it looked like there was a chance of that for sure. Since they killed off Chrissy. Yeah, I'm debating if we're gonna do the Scream 5 to 6 thing where supposedly because the creators thought that Scream 5 had a bit dark handling of some deaths, they wanted to make it a little bit lighter of a movie for 6. So I don't know if we're doing that similar thing here. Did anyone else see the flashback with Max? Joyce wrote a play. Yeah, that was that November 6th day, right? 1959. But yeah, Henry was listed on there. Karen has such a big role in season 5. Is that something you're wishing into fruition? I mean, she's conscious, so she could get out, I guess, but I think it depends how many days. Well, we're on November 3rd, and we're probably slightly past that now. And November 6th is the big event. She's probably not getting out of the hospital by the time the show wraps up, I would think. At the hospital, I should have told them more. Yeah, that's true. There's some second guessing. Isn't it revealed in the Stranger Things play? That I cannot tell you. I did not watch the play. I will defer to you guys on that one. All right, anything else? Any other websites have any decent questions on here? How will Stranger Things final season end? Fans have many theories. Go check that out. I'm gonna take a quick step away, I think. Let me know your guys' thoughts, how you think the show's gonna end, and I'll read this website and see what they say. All right, be right back. All right. Every time you never third. Yeah, Mean Girls. Ask what day it was. It's October 3rd. All right, what are they thinking? How will things end? Is this before? Well, it's a little bit lamer if it's prior to the episodes that we just got, because they could predict something that's got like no shot at this point. Oh, these are videos too. I'm not going to pull these up. All right, I'm just seeing what some of these comments are. Somebody thinks that Steve's going to sacrifice himself. Somebody thinks Eddie's going to make a return, even though the Duffer Brothers said he won't be coming back to life. I mean, I guess you could return without coming back to life. I mean, they probably had some connection, you would think, because he was listed on that flyer. Okay. Anything else on here is just not... I think that's too old of a thing. I guess we can see what like Reddit is saying. That is a pretty gnarly picture. Pull this up. Maybe. All right, visual spoilers here for anybody who has not watched, I guess. Try you'll see what somebody posted the pictures from the end here. Obviously, you have Will here going crazy. His eyes definitely looked pretty cool. Obviously does the whole 11 thing. Doesn't hurt that his hairstyle definitely got better than the bowl cut. So there is that. Wonder what Vecna's motives are. He does seem like he is one of those characters that's going to have a motive, like you can understand, like almost like a Thanos, where it's like, you know what, overpopulation probably a problem. I don't disagree. Your maybe your choices from that aren't the best, but I can understand your origin a bit. So they have a little bit of that going on. Will the Wise, yeah. Is Gandalf the Grey gonna show up? Gandalf the White? Yeah, that was probably the best moment of Will in the entire show, was that last episode. Specifically that last 5 minutes. Yeah, the bloody nose swipe. Which, I mean, they implied they have different powers, but they did show the same mannerisms with that. Or the same, like, impacts on their body. C5 is gonna end with L sacrificing herself to kill Vecna. Maybe Will to die first. I think if we get a death of a main character, it's only gonna be one. I don't expect multiple. Like, part of me says 0, but part of me says we could get 1. I don't think we're gonna have like mass casualties here. His name is Will the Wise. Yeah, I remember. That was his D&D name you're talking about. I was just naming other character names that are similar. Everyone's dead at the end. Yeah, don't think they'll go that route, but all right, what else are people saying on Reddit? Okay, this is a pretty funny meme. Let me grab this one. Vecna wins. I wouldn't hate that, but they're not, like, there's no shot. Is this gonna pull up correctly? Nope. That did not pull up correctly either. Holly upside down. Will in the upside down. Oh wait, it's cropped. Let me drag it down. Make you smaller. You get the message here. It's pretty accurate. It definitely had different treatment. It's like for the plot to be like 5 people dying. Yeah, that would be gnarly. I mean, I didn't think Hopper would be the one either, but then for a second they had me thinking differently on that. I don't know if I mean, I think if too many movies did the bad guy winning ending, I would probably grow sick of it, but it's not done enough that makes me feel that way. I probably still prefer the satisfying ending. What was it? Not to spoil the movie. I mean, it was long ago, but I'm pretty sure the Skeleton Key, if I remember that one, that ended kind of like not happy for our main characters. All right, what else we got? It was good 4 episodes. Pacing was fantastic. Yeah, I talked about that earlier. I was a little bit... one of the things I wanted was to make sure not to have too much of a like lull moment. But they pretty much kept things on pace. Seems like Holly Max should not upside down. Yeah, they're in like this memory realm. Maybe that spot that 11 sent Vecna, like some alternate spot where it's just their minds are located, but that results in their physical being there too. Yeah, Holly's definitely like double dipped. She is in the upside down, but also in the dream world, it seems like. Whereas Max is just in the dream world and real life, or right side up. And the Skeleton Key was brutal. I think I only saw it in theaters, but I remember coming out of it being like, that actually was not a happy ending. I did not feel like that ended too favorably for our main characters. I think they were just like locked away or something. Like something like that is how it ended. Find it confusing with characters being one conscious. Yeah, there's a bit of like abstract thinking when it comes to that. I mean, it's kind of like if you dream, I guess. Like if you were dreaming, but then you never woke up. So you would have like things you were doing, but it just wouldn't be based in reality. Best I can probably say about it. Yeah, they definitely, I mean, Running Up That Hill is probably going to continue to get its airtime based off the start of this season. I remember Holly was actually in the scene with the pancakes. How we're in the same dream though. Max and Holly. I mean, that article kind of talked about it being potentially where 11 sent Vecna previously, maybe where Max was sent. And then Holly also was brought there by Vecna. I assume some of like the memory stuff they'll explain a little bit further as far as not leaving us totally in the dark. I mean, you don't have to explain too much with it because it's just kind of like this third dimension almost that's not tied to this world at all. I still am wondering where Max got all the stuff for her cave, though. I will question that because if this is Vecna's world, I don't know where she gathered all these things. Also, to your point, is it just her, Max, and Holly there now, or do we have other humans present in this memory world? It's almost like the limo to reality in the Upside Down. Opens the door. Was Will there? He was plugged in. Yeah, and then the other 3 kids that had like the things on their mouth. Yeah, Lex, I understood it the same way, where Max is in the real world and Holly is in the Upside Down, but they're both mentally in the same spot, which is a third option. So did that cave just have all those supplies in it already prior to Vecna, or prior to Max getting there then? Because she had like some stuff in the cave with her there. Will's gonna have to plug himself back into Vecna's mind. Whether or not there has to be a sacrifice, I think at this point there will be some connection with Will and Vecna, as far as he will probably be a strong factor in how Vecna gets taken out. Same with 11 though, too. Three kids in the wall have to mentally be somewhere. True. Yeah, maybe they're in that that happy town. But they weren't staying with Vecna, because that's where Holly was. And they're not in the cave, so they're somewhere, I guess. She was obviously leaving the cave. Yeah, we'll definitely be back at that world a few times, and to your point, we'll probably spend a lot of time with it in episode 6 when we evidently exit that world. You wonder if Vecna will kill off the kids? As I said, I think if that happens, I think it's gonna be one kid. It's not gonna be like the whole squad gets sliced or anything. But I mean, if I was probably guessing now, I would lean towards saying they all live. And then if somebody had to die, I would say one dies. Vecna is a lot like Pennywise. I mean, the Upside Down's a little bit different than the sewers, but I get your point about them being like places humans don't live for the most part. Oh, the kids on the wall. Got it. You meant the other 3. I don't think so. I don't think is like Barb and Eddie and Billy, they're like the youngest people that Stranger Things has killed. Even if they're characters that we don't know, I don't think any like middle school kids are gonna be killed off. Just my opinion. I don't think the Duffer Brothers have proven that they are interested in doing that. So it would surprise me if anybody, like any of these outside kids, these young kids get killed, like the ones in the wall, for example. In fact, this is more brutal. Pennywise more frightening. I definitely felt like Vecna in this episode looked like Groot with his like roots, especially when he went through that guy's head. What was the initial plan with sending Hopper in alone? He was going to eat a lot of beef jerky and blow himself up, evidently. I don't know. I'm not entirely... I mean, they don't have to explain, I guess, because it didn't happen. His plan was to, I don't know, kill Vecna himself. Find the source of stuff. It's releasing in theaters? Nah, I'm just going to watch it on streaming. I'm not overly big into if I can watch something at home, like going to see it also in theaters, especially if it's something like I'm already paying for. But probably be cool to watch. I mean, it is like an amazing show, so I imagine they're going to sell really well if they do that. Back to 2.0 with those spikes. I wonder. Do you think they may like pretend to be somebody else? Maybe. I feel like if we were going to do that, he would have done that already. Also, there's not really a need to at this point. He has like a million Demogorgons that are coming out from everywhere. What else do we have on other than memes on Reddit on here? Seems like most people are liking it from what I can tell. All right, this one's kind of good too. Apparently, I'm just showing memes for the sake of my Reddit inclusion. Somebody said I can't take Vecna seriously after seeing this. I mean, it's similar poses, I guess. I was gonna bust out some wizard moves. It was funny when he was like doing the like hand thing that 11 does to stop from Mike getting attacked, and then Lucas, and then for like Robin, he like does his head. I'm like, he's running out of limbs. What else? He can't keep doing this. All right, King Matthew, thanks for hanging out. I know even though you didn't, you still need to watch a little bit, so appreciate you chilling despite that. All right, we'll see if we get a little bit more on here. Then maybe I'll do a Slay the Spire run as we keep talking for a bit and call it after that. Oh, somebody posted, that's kind of ironic timing. Somebody posted, I hate this arc, and it's the picture of the Chicago crowd 17 hours ago, so before it aired. That Erica scene was pretty wild, where she's like taking people out. Yeah, somebody posted the flyer from that Oklahoma play. Alan Munson. Wait, these are like all the same people. I'm just not. I don't know if I noticed that. James Hopper, Alan Munson, Ted Wheeler. And then, yeah, introducing Henry, who's acting in it. Go watch scene 5. Sounds good. Enjoy. Yeah, I mean, Munson's Eddie's dad, presumably. Ted, we know he's in the coma. Hopper. The kid in the hall was Harrington. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll just do a Slay the Spire run then, and somebody's wearing a Vecna costume. That's funny. All right. Don't see Hopper as a theater kid. True. Did it say what he was doing in it? Let me see. Because it said starring for Henry, but the other ones it was not saying. No, it was starring. It was introducing Henry. I would agree. I don't see Hopper as a theater kid. Kind of convenient. I mean, I guess maybe if you want to say he was friends with Joyce, he did it for her, but he's got the first name on here. So I don't know if I fully think that. All right. We can keep talking Stranger Things, but I'll do a Slay the Spire run here. Let's see, it's been a minute since I played this on stream. As I said, it was kind of funny that they mentioned, I think twice, they said the word Spire as far as where the kids I think were at. All right, is the daily worth anything here? You know, maybe we'll just do the daily and do that with the defect. Starting with +3 strength, enemies get +3 strength, so that's going to be kind of rough. Considering the defect, unless I go for claws, is going to be not the best at strength. All right, let me jump over here, make sure this shows up. I think I have it set. Yeah, it should. Slay the Spire's app has always been like a little bit delayed with popping up on stream. There we go. Cool. All right, let's say we'll do the daily. Start with 1 rare relic. So we're not going to have our starting relic, which is our lightning, I think, which kind of sucks. 1 path. Strength for everybody. 2 people cheating for sure. Not bad. Oh, we still do have the lightning. Okay, never mind. All right. Well, we're just going to send attacks here. Also going to be straightforward because we have 1 path, so... I got 2, yeah. It kept me with my starting one, which is nice. Tempting. Don't really like when it's not upgraded, though. Okay, can't beat you, so let's just do that. Capacitor I do love, but this early it's a bit risky. Especially because we have strength, so I don't know how much... I may pass on it, which is kind of weird to say, but... Okay, took a chance. It's not a great one. Yeah, well. I think we'll just fully block here and hopefully get 2 attacks this next turn. There we go. Everybody's hit me right from the beginning. We'll do a zap there. Not going to be enough. So, defend. Nice. I'll take the ball lightning, I think. Oh boy, this is going to hurt. Yep, it is. Okay, well, we'll do that. Could have been worse. It wasn't great, but it could have been worse. Okay. Made it out of there. Ooh, sure. I don't know if I really want that, but I guess here I can just straight up attack, which is nice. Of course, it's the outside guy. Okay, we are now going for the outside guy at this point, so... I don't really go with biased here, but to be honest, I think beam cell, because we have strength as our prominent factor of our build. There we go. Really want some claws, if I'm being honest. I'm gonna regret this choice. Yep. Need health bad. Let's see if we can survive. It's gonna be... Yikes. Okay. Do that. We're not dead yet. The +3 strength to opponents is always a tough one to accept. Do that. Okay, hopefully after this turn. Yeah. Ooh, yep, we'll take you. Honestly, probably that. We definitely have to heal here. As much as I don't want to heal, we have to heal. Oh, this next, and the boss here is going to be really miserable, actually. I'm not realizing with his +3 strength. It's going to be tough. Finally got a claw. It's a little bit late. I think I'm gonna try to do... Well, should we go for the eyes, actually? Yeah. We'll see. Maybe I should pop the regen right now. I think I'm gonna do that. Oh, I should have played that first. Huh. I think we'll just do that to get stronger, but he's hit me for 12, and this is going to be... Ooh, boy. Okay. Okay. Yes. All things considered. 32. Okay, can we break you? Sure hope so. I don't have to play you yet, so maybe I wait. This is not ideal. I don't think, regardless of if we beat this guy, we're probably going to survive this run. I need some dexterity, I think. Normally I would just rely on Frost, but... Just sit on that, I think. All right, 32 again, which I don't love. I had a bit of Plan My Claw last time. Should I have? Guess we'll find out. I think I'm actually okay here, surprisingly. Okay, well, we could play everything here if we wanted to. Should I go for the lethal here, pretty much? Yeah, there we go. Well, that's surviving at least. Should we just abandon our orbs? The problem is they will help if we get frost eventually, but Hyper Beam I don't hate the idea of. I think we're gonna take that, honestly, and just see how it goes. Is that worth doing after I just picked up Hyper Beam? I don't know. Transform, strikes, and defends. Sure. Could have been worse. Could have been worse. We'll see how we do here, though. We need more energy, because I want to play Electro, but it's kind of hard to be able to here. I think we just get Hyper Beam. Play that if we can. We can. Nice. Claw it up. That's unfortunate. That would have been enough to kill him. Play you just to make you better at this point. I have defrag. That kind of sucks that I have that in Hyper Beam. Okay, once again, I mean, I guess I can play this and then play Electro. Wish I had the pyramid. I could just keep my hand. I think that would serve me well this run. Nice. We'll keep what we have. FTL. Kind of want you, but if I buy you, that cuts to 125. So I can't buy both of those, unfortunately. Also, there's the life. I think that was a good move. What do we want to get rid of? I mean, defrag I always wanted, but that's like, I'm leaning towards that being the answer. It's something that's not an attack-based option. Feels so weird to do that. There we go. Good enough. Steam barrier, probably. Upgraded at this point. Yeah. An AoE attack, it's hard not to upgrade. Because if I pull that now, which I didn't, fortunately. Okay, you. It's gonna hurt not to have Glacier out there, but I think we have to do that, honestly, because I think we have to do that. So I don't have to kill him. I don't think that's enough to kill him either if I pulled it back. Maybe we just play it anyway. He's probably got to give me a potion, so. He did not. Draw 3. We still only have 3 energy, so I don't think that helps enough. Leap is kind of nice, but... Ooh, no healing until the boss. This guy, actually, yeah, 30. Yikes. I mean, there's only one play here. It's that. We could be cooked here, though. The +3 strength cannot be underestimated. Got focus, not that I overly want it at this point. I mean, we could take this because we don't pick up curses, but just I do have the potion, so I won't die at the end of this, but honestly debated picking up the Glacier and just having it out there for next turn because of a situation like this, unfortunately. Everything but Beam Cell, I think, is the answer. Oh, would that have... Should I play the focus there? Actually, I could still do this, right? Okay. We'll fight him. We'll attempt it just to give him my gold. I have not drawn Hyper Beam on first turn at all yet. Kind of need it this turn, if I'm being honest. Got them. All right, we didn't draw it here again. I mean, I guess Electro. Let's see what we get with that. You're not dead yet, but now you are. You're also not dead. I could... No, screw it. Hanging on there. Do I want chill? I don't think I do. Normally, yes, but... Just get you out of the hand. Told you so. I mean, we got 9 health. We're kind of... We are struggling through the end of this. Okay, am I dead here? Because you're not... I'm taking 18 damage after this. Well, no, I'm only taking 9 because I'll play Charge Beam instead. Actually, I could play Zap and then he will be dead. I think it's the net same, but somebody's at least taken out of the equation. I guess we'll go for you. I'm not screwed yet. I think the boss. Oh, he ready when he goes into second phase. It's already insanely high. So I think that's okay. Also, why are you doing so much damage? Okay, that's 19. That's 19. Is he gonna heal him? Maybe I should have attacked you. Yeah, you are. Okay, let's pop that. Of course you went for him. I guess we'll also go for him at this point. Could maybe play the potion, but I don't have 0. We're gonna heal. Don't like to often, but we're going to. Right. Definitely not giving me a ton of options. Phase 2 against this guy, I think is gonna ruin my day, so we'll see. I still haven't drawn Hyper Beam yet, which is maybe a good thing. I'm debating if I should even play it at this point, but honestly, I don't think that's worth it. Let's just build this up and then maybe get Thunderstrike going a little bit. All right, 19. All things considered, not the worst, but we have worthless lightning now. Now the time to Thunderstrike. I think we give it a try. Not gonna be enough though. We need to pull that again with a vulnerable. Yeah, 62. That's a lot. I think we're dead. I think we died. Because I can't beat him here. 82? No shot. Like that's the best I got, I think. Yeah, the daily having the extra strength, not ideal. I think we streamed a daily once in the past, and I think that's the only other one we had an issue with too. I think the Hyper Beam strategy was not the best, but we didn't have a whole lot of other options considering strength was one of our benefits. Yeah, it is a lot for sure. All right, we'll probably call it on that. Spend most of the time, more than I expected, probably talking Stranger Things only, but people were hanging out, so seemed like it was a good time. Yeah, having no frost, definitely. You're right. I guess I could have replayed that without playing that because I would have gotten some block from the frost, but it would have been probably rough either way. But yeah, appreciate people hopping and hanging out. Kind of fitting for my name, ad hoc stream with wrapping up Stranger Things and and wasn't sure if I would be doing videos on it, so I figured why not talk about it live, just kind of ramble on it. So, and then play a quick slate of Spire. So other than that, we'll keep you guys posted. Probably do more lives. Obviously, it's Thanksgiving today, so happy Thanksgiving, anybody celebrating. And other than that, I will catch you guys next time. Thanks for hanging out.